everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee.
Today we're taking a look at the very hot game, Peanut Butter Jelly Belly Time.
Peanut butter belly time. Peanut butter belly time.
See, I was going to go the whole review without doing that.
Really?
Yes.
That's impossible for me.
It's too easy. It's too easy.
It's impossible to not to is the problem. When you play this game, songs will be sung. There's multiple songs about peanut butter.
There are, because I'm peanut butter and you are jelly. And we're so happy.
A lot of people like peanut butter and jelly. I am not a fan, but I know I'm in a minority. I know that, so.
What do you prefer your peanut butter with?
Chocolate.
Well, okay, well, yes.
Do you do the fluffer muffin?
No, I don't like peanut butter and jelly
nutter?
sandwiches. Ever since I discovered Boar's Head lunch meat, why would you eat not lunch meat on a sandwich? It's beyond me. Why you would eat peanut butter and jelly? Lunch meat, lunch meat.
Sometimes I just mix peanut butter and jelly together in a bowl and eat it, because I don't eat a lot of bread.
I love what's happening here.
Well, that's on you.
It's delicious.
I feel superior somehow after you said that. I don't know how. I do.
Sometimes
Anyhow,
I just take croutons, smash them up into a jar of peanut butter, and I have pre-sandwich. Continue.
so apparently this game is from Nerdy Nuts.
Which is a peanut butter producer. Like
They actually sent us peanut butter. You guys tasted it?
We did taste it, yeah.
It's not super sweet. It's like,
We're going to let it affect our review.
yeah, definitely.
Well, if it's not super sweet, isn't that good with jelly then?
So it was like a peanut butter jelly mix combination. It was like peanut butter with strawberry syrup swirl.
My mom never bought those. She
But
always
it's
said it was overpriced and you can just buy the two separate and put
Well, you
them
know,
together.
like the natural peanut butters that are not super salty.
I know
They're-
nothing about this.
Okay, well, anyways, it's like a natural peanut butter with a like sweet strawberry syrup in it, so it's not too sweet.
At this point, someone's like, talk about the game!
Right?
All right, let's show you the game, and we'll be right back. This game is played with a 126 card deck. Now in this deck there are all sorts of cards, and cards will have ingredients on them. There are cookies where you have a wafer cookie, a chocolate chip cookie, or the Moreo, legally distinct. We have fruits, apple, strawberries, and bananas. We have chocolate, cotton candy, and marshmallow, the three types of candy. So then you'll notice they each have a different background based on the type of them. Each round of the game, players are going to get 6 cards. So you'll take these 6 cards, and you're going to take a look at the cards. You're going to pick one, and then pass the rest on, clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on the round. Once everyone's picked one, you're going to play it in front of you. When you play a card in front of you, you have 3 things you can do. You can start a new jar. That has to be the first thing you do. So this is a new jar I've started. It's a cookie candy lovers, which means it's going to give me 3 points for every cookie and candy in it. Hey, I already have a cookie in it. On a future turn when I play a card, instead of starting a new jar, I could add an ingredient to this jar. Hey, now this is worth 3 points to me. Then maybe on my next turn I do a strawberry lovers, and next turn I do a chocolate fruit, and then add a fruit to that one. And you're going to be growing these. You're going to be playing all 6 cards, and then you'll play 6 cards again, and 6 cards. Now, when you play a card with a rainbow label, you're going to take one of these chips here and put it on one of your jars. Most of the chips have salt on them. Salt adds 1 point to a jar, but if you add 2 salt to a jar, then it's no longer good. You don't want 2 salt on a jar. It makes the whole jar 0 points. Others are just ingredients. Hey, this is cotton candy. I can throw this on this jar. Now there's another candy in it. And that's basically the way the game is. There's also some wild unicorn dust out there, which is an ingredient of your choice. But after you've played 18 cards, you're going to score up all your jars, and whoever has the most points is the winner. Now there is a variant with special orders, and this variant there'll be some cards face up middle table, and after every round, after people have played it, if you have a jar that has these exact ingredients in, so if I have cotton candy, chocolate, and any cookie in it, I can put this on top of that jar, and it's just going to be worth 8 points at the end of the game. And so most of these here are worth 7, 8, and 9 points, although this one's worth 100 points. It needs 7 unique ingredients in the jar, and you need to get one of these fairy tokens, of which there's only 4 from the pile. So you get lucky, then that probably wins you the game. And that's how you play. Whenever I get a game from a company, I assume it's not going to be that great. When I get a game called Peanut Butter Belly Time, I also assume it's not going to be great. And when I get a game that's gaudy, and it really is gaudy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
To the point where it could have been a little bit less gaudy because I don't think the icons for the 9 different things pop as much as they should.
I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, wow. It's an
explosion of color instead of flavor.
Lisa Frank. That's who I'm thinking of.
Really?
It's like having a Lisa Frank background and an icon over it. That's how it looks across the table.
Yeah, you really can't see other people's stuff that well. But despite all that, the game's pretty good, actually.
I was genuinely surprised because this is very Sushi Go-ish, drafting a card, place it in front of you, try to make little combinations. And so I was going into it like, okay, this is by people that are not board game, well, I don't know if they're board gamers, but it's not a board game company, and they're making a card game that's just basically Sushi Go, was my thought. But I thought it was clever.
I don't really consider it Sushi Go because when you take a card, you can use that card for 2 different things. That's a very different thing. Just because it's drafting doesn't mean it's Sushi Go.
But food and drafting, cute food drafting makes it like Sushi Go is instantly a
It's going to be a comparison point, whether consciously or subconsciously, right? And I agree with that. Like where I was, because it occupies that same market.
I guess in that Sushi Go, until when you mentioned it, I've never even compared the two.
Oh, okay.
I know they're drafting, but there's also about 50 to 100 drafting games available right now.
There are a bajillion. It's the food concept.
That are food and that are so lightweight and approachable. But I gotta say that it's fun when you look at your hand of cards and you say, okay, well, amongst these, which one do I want to pick? And then also, most of the time, you're just gonna tuck something. You have 3 ways to use it, Tom. You can start a new jar. You can add ingredients to a jar, or you can overlap a previous jar and change a scoring condition. And I think that's a really great twist.
I think the changing scoring condition thing, that was really clever to me.
I actually think it's the weakest part of the game.
Really?
I think that if you change at some point during the game and you're playing someone who hasn't, you will probably lose because you have wasted a card.
Potentially,
because you make so many other little jars that you never score. I've had games where I've made multiple jars that never had anything score on them.
Well, I get that, but I think the best way to play it is to make a few jars and then just score the snot out of those jars. Now, obviously, if the ingredients don't come.
I think that's the thing, is that if you're drafting the cards and you realize, oh, there's no more Oreo cookies, I've got this set up so that I need 3 more
Oreo.
I have 3
I don't
Oreos.
get sued.
Excuse me. If I need more Oreo cookies and I clearly have not seen them in the draft so far, switching that can make such a difference.
It can. I just think the fact that you're only taking 18 cards over the course of the game, if I'm sacrificing one of them, now I'm talking from a higher strategic level, I think, than the game's meant. But I just didn't think that was so interesting. I thought, I'm going to start and I'm going to finish. Also, again, replacing one, you could just start a new one. The only time replacing one matters is if you already have the ingredients for the one you're replacing for, and it has to be like a perfect storm of peanut butter.
Yeah, but it's happened. It's happened multiple times for me. And that's what I think is cool, is that you have that flexibility. Is I was all in on bananas because I needed bananas and Oreos. Oreos didn't show up, and now suddenly I can actually score those bananas because I have a card that lets me score them.
Yeah, or if you have say the first card you play is a lower scoring condition, like 1 point per candy type, but that jar ends up having a bunch of 2 specific ingredients. When you get that card that says score 3 points for each pair of those ingredients, you're like, I don't mind changing that label.
I agree. Again, that's kind of a perfect storm. But yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah,
so those moments happen.
I love that there's that flexibility. Are you going to do it all the time? You probably shouldn't. I don't think it's a great strategic.
I think you should do it 4 times.
But also you're incentivized to have multiple different jars because when you get that card, the rainbow card that says draw a token, I think that's a clever mechanism because you get salt. And you're like, oh, okay, that's fine. Hey, an extra point. But I don't want a jar to get 2 salt.
I agree. That's a great mechanism.
I feel like that's the weakest part because it's complete random. We played games where one person gets all the extra fruits or whatever, fruits and candies and whatever, and then then the other person gets only salt, and then they just have an overload of salt. So
I guess you can also not draft the rainbow cards if that bothers you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is for a game this simple and that looks like this, Shopkins. I think that's actually the best comparison. That's what this.
It does look like Shopkins, yeah.
Yeah, our daughter's really into Shopkins.
No, you're right. It's Shopkins. Here, let me say this, though. We're talking all this stuff. This is a really light game. You get a card, you start a jar, you add to a jar, you replace a jar. That's it. And you're doing this 18 times.
Yes.
It's fast. Drawing the things is fun. And you can play very quickly, too. The simultaneous matter comes in. Unless you play with that variant I mentioned. Now, the variant looks cool with the different cards. I don't think you guys played the variant.
The race towards an objective.
Yeah.
So the problem with the variant is you put these objective cards out, and if you complete them between a turn, you can replace a jar and get the points. That's kind of cool. There's two problems with it. One, those points are more than the jars are normally worth, so you should do them, and it kind of changes the tenor of the game. Two, it really slows the game down, because before you all pass cards, you guys say, okay, can anyone take a jar? Because they get replaced. And yet, I really want them in the game because one of the jars is 100 points. And the fact that you can get that jar, you have to have you have to have 7 ingredients out of the 9, and one of the rainbow tokens, of which there's only 4.
Whoa!
Yeah, but see, now that I told you about this, you would try to get it.
100 points is basically an auto win.
Shoot,
It is,
baby.
It is.
Yeah.
But because it exists, you're like,
Now I have to
I don't know.
try
It's so dumb. I really like it though. But other than that, I would probably not play with that variant very much.
I would just hate drafting
because it
all the time.
it slows the game down a little.
I would consider playing it once with only that card out.
That's true.
But then
I guess you could
nobody-
put out just that card.
But then nobody would get it because everybody would be working towards it, and then no one would get it.
Well,
But then
Worry
you
too
still have to
much.
play for points for second. You know what I mean? Like, as a
Yeah.
secondary.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not
oh,
hate
man.
drafting you at the cost of myself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fair.
But I gotta say, I'm very impressed with this box, right? Because if this were published by not like a peanut butter company, if this were published just by a publisher that we're familiar with, the designer is a board game designer, by the way. I did look him up. But if it just came out from anybody else, I'd be like, wow, this is a good card game. You know, I would give it favorable reviews, and it impresses me that this is from someone that's not typically a board game publisher. They put their branding and stuff on it. They made it fit their company because they have lots of over the top, like candy mix-in. Like, this is the type of peanut butters they
Pecan
make.
pie, peanut butter.
They
Yeah.
make thematic, like, this is a thematic
Tie-in that works.
tie-in
Yeah.
that works. Yeah.
It is.
It's really impressive.
What would you give it?
I'm going to give this one a 7.5. It's a fun card drafting game. I really like it. Whether or not, like we said, whether this is a high strategic game or not, it doesn't matter. We play this with a 7-year-old daughter, and she had a great time. She also likes Shopkins, so this has the appeal to her. I think this is a great family game. It's a lot of fun. I'm not letting the free jar peanut butter affect our thoughts, by the way. It was good.
Yeah, that's how you win us over.
Yes.
I'm giving it a 7. I like it a lot too. I like the fact that it's 2 to 7 players. That range works really well. Because there's very few 7-player games. Drafting games tend to work, and it's just so quick. It's a great filler. I hate using the word filler when it talks about food involved. But yeah, quick, easy to play.
So you should pass the peanut butter, take a scoop, pass it
Yeah.
around. We're not sharing spoons. We're not sharing spoons. No, I gave it a 7.5 as well. As Chris, I just think that it's a solid, fun, light drafting game, and that's what I wanted from it, and it gave me more than I expected. So there you go, 7.5.
Well, there you go. The best game this week you haven't heard of. That's Peanut Butter Belly Time. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Chris Yee.
Let's have sandwiches.
Stay crunchy.
Be like a perfect storm of peanut butter.
Yep.
Be like a perfect storm of peanut butter.
Yep.
Be like a perfect storm of peanut butter.
Yep.
Be like a perfect storm of peanut butter.